then? And also, how much do you value like actually getting speed control? Is it really that important with that Whimsicott or that Farigiraf, for example? But we are finally locked in, and we are about to go to game number 1 of this best of 3.
Absolutely, and this game 1 can set the tone in a big way. Starting with the leads, here's Thunderglock Antonio, which is Incineroar and Raging Bolt, so no Calyrex Shadow off the bat. We do see a mirror in the sense that it is Electric Dragon type and Incineroar against Electric Dragon type and Incineroar.
Okay, so faster Incineroar from the opposing side to start. I mean, it could be a speed tie as well, but one of the things to actually pay attention to is who is faster, because having that, immediate fake out to put on pressure can be huge. And so right now, the Miraidon does have a lot of offensive pressure. You can see Rajan's just thinking about going for it.
Bye-bye, Tonyo.
Yeah, I mean, with this, you can just pressure with a lot of damage. Here is the potential switch and into Farigiraf, so this blocks that potential fake out. So the idea is this blocks any priority. And this is really cool because then you do so much damage to Incineroar. Maybe even get, I don't know, do you think we'll get a knockout?
I am sure that we'll get the knockout.
Okay.
The question is Rillaboom switching in? Because by revealing Incineroar and Raging Bolt as the leads, like, we don't know if the back, like, we assume Calyrex is the back Pokemon. Rajan's Incineroar switches out first. That means that there's no switch from the Incineroar. Would you guys like to see a magic trick? Would you like to see Incineroar disappear? Here's the Terrestrial. Oh, Electric Seed activates. Wait,
was that the magic trick?
No, wait, no, hang on, wait. The magic trick.
That's the first part of the trick.
That's the first part of the trick. Here's the second part. Okay, we gotta get the Terrestrialization going. Terra Electric, Hadron Engine, Electric Terrain, Choice Specs. Am I forgetting something?
No, you got it.
Okay,
there we go.
Well, Volt Switch. Volt Switch isn't that strong a move, y'all. How much damage will it really do? Oh.
Well, first, we've got a Terra Wolf, so let's take a deep breath.
Well, okay, it is Raging Bolt.
This is a big deal, though, right? Because now you can just go for electric type attacks.
You don't have to worry about your Dragon type moves anymore.
Yeah.
Terra Fairy from the Raging Bolt. This might end up being a problem as if Volt Switch comes out. Okay, well, Incineroar is a super tanky Pokemon, Aaron. It's probably trained to survive almost all powerful special moves. Bye-bye, Incineroar.
And you know what's nasty? You can bring out Whimsicott now, so if the if it's caught mining the opposing side, you just encore.
Bye-bye. And you can't fake it out to stop it because you've got Farigiraf here protecting it.
Exactly.
So
that was such a sick turn 1, actually, and it was really safe, in my opinion. There was not too much that could stop that.
Yes, and there's not a way to get rid of this Whimsicott easily because...
Oh
my god, it's the Calm Mind! Raging Bolt's boosting its stats, but that's... I don't know, like, that's I don't even know if that's a good thing here. Whimsicott can lock it in for eternity, really.
Exactly. And that was basically, I think if you're Rajan, you're like, that's it. That was the best turn 1 I could have asked for, right? You are able to get rid of a knockout, or get a knockout, and you bait out the Terra from the opposing end, right? So now you can just safely go for electric type attacks. And so, like you mentioned, there's the, okay, we're going to try to see a protect option and switch into Incineroar here.
Interesting, yeah. So even with the threat of Encore, like, which is pretty safe because you can't really take like that much damage, and like the Raging Bolt, like, it can protect itself, but then it just like falls to the next Encore, like still gets locked in, and you're protected from fake out. Rajan actually choosing to play this one slow. My guess is he's predicting protecting the Raging Bolt, maybe a U-turn or a Wood Hammer, bring in Calyrex Shadow and make it a little bit more ambiguous. So I think it makes some sense. You are giving up the Electric Seed boost, but like,
how important is it?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, something I want to highlight is that wasn't even Miraidon's strongest move. He used Volt Switch. He didn't even use Electro Drift, so...
How often have you seen a Volt Switch get a one-hit knockdown on something that's not super effective against it? That's
rarely.
Just wild.
Protecting Whimsicott is Raging Bolt going for Protect. This could be really important because if Dragon Pulse comes out here... Oh, man.
No Protect!
That's really... Rajan might have just made a pretty major error here because... Yeah, now, like you can't lock the Raging Bolt in the Calm Mind anymore.
Yeah, let's see. I would think it's a Dragon Pulse into the Incineroar slot right now.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're Calm Minding again.
And it's Urshifu coming out, and it is Dragon Pulse!
Oh my goodness, there's no Calyrex Shadow.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, Jose was like, you know what? Like, yeah, like, this is a restricted format. I want to use my restricted Pokemon, but like, also I don't want to play against double normal type with this. So all of a sudden, and also Rillaboom getting off the field is a big deal because
you now get to potentially bring it back out.
Exactly. Like, in Electric Terrain, we've seen how much damage Miraidon does, but yeah, I don't know. That's actually a pretty crazy turn of events where I feel like Rajan had an incredible advantage after turn 1, but that one play, Jose's completely back into this.
Yeah, I think it was effectively a free Encore, right? Because it's like, even if they protect, well, you can just Encore them into protect the subsequent turn, and
it's
there's no way...
actually better than being Encored into Calm Mind.
Precisely, and there's no way that Whimsicott's going to fade because it's just Rillaboom on the opposing side. So I think Rajan maybe tries to get a little bit fancy, and now it's actually really scary because we were talking about this win condition where it's like, oh, Raging Bolt gets set up, and now it gets a boost, and it can Dragon Pulse, right? So there is still Miraidon in the back, and that does a lot of damage, but here's going to be a pivot into Rillaboom immediately.
Absolutely, and
the monkey is back.
The monkey is back. Rillaboom hits the field once again. Let's see, this is just a Moonblast from the Whimsicott. not very much damage. We were talking about how Whimsicott has, you know, damage issues here. +1 Dragon Pulse with the Assault Vest, and Incineroar survives. U-turn comes out, that's super effective damage. And now, guess who's back on the field with the Electric Terrain? If he wants it, it's Miraidon.
It's Miraidon, absolutely. With no Terra left at this point, or having been used from the opposing side, this thing will do a lot of damage.
Do you think that Volt Switch will KO Rillaboom for this range?
Oh,
I don't know. It's Assault Vest, maybe not. But I think Electro Drift would.
Yeah. But what is interesting here is you pivot in the Rillaboom, right?
Yes.
And you theoretically have fake out pressure, but
yes,
of course the Whimsicott could switch into Farigiraf, exactly. And so, okay, it looks like Rajan's considering staying in, but yep, I think the Farigiraf switch in is relatively safe, and then you just try to pick up a knockout here. I am really curious whether or not Volt Switch gets it on Rillaboom.
Yeah, I agree. You also have the option of going for Electric Drift into the Raging Bolt here.
Yeah.
It's like, definitely like, it's not a one-hit KO, but you need to get rid of this at some point, and your other Pokemon can't do any damage to Raging Bolt, so this is also a situation where, like, getting this turn wrong could have pretty big, like, drawbacks, in my opinion, at least. Rajan's not sure also, it seems, if Volt Switch or... I feel like there's no way Volt Switch KOs here. Like, obviously, I'm a big Miraidon believer, but, like, I mean, it shouldn't KO, right? It's Assault Vest, it's Grass type. Like, it really shouldn't KO here. We're seeing Farigiraf be brought in. Volt Switch comes out, so no fake out. Jose's done a really good job of not falling for the Armor Tail.
Will it KO?
Oh my god! That's Assault Vest Rillaboom!
Yeah, I was thinking if it's like max HP near max special defense, which actually a lot of people use on Assault Vest Rillaboom, maybe it survives there, but nope, it still just gets the knockout there. And so this is a great pivot, right? Because now you are able to, you won the Terrain War. So you have Electric Terrain for the remainder of the game. Dragon Pulse now goes into Whimsicott. Urshifu will come out. This is, I think, one thing that's a little bit awkward about the Whimsicott Farigiraf duo, where it's like you're not really threatening with that much damage when these two are out.
That's true, that's true. It is worth noting that, like, Whimsicott can probably eventually 1v1 the Raging Bolt, maybe? Probably not. I don't know. But yeah, basically what's interesting about this is that this is Terra Water Urshifu, which means it's not immune to Encore. So Rajan can just go for Helping Hand Moonblast, try to pick up the KO, and if there's a Protect from the other end, he can just Encore that. Helping Hand Moonblast will just pick up a KO.
Oh, it does!
Oh my goodness!
Never mind, Whimsicott. I was not familiar with your game.
My bad, Whimsicott. Yeah, we were like, Whimsicott can't really do damage. Dragon Pool's coming out here, and yeah, I mean, actually, oh my goodness, that does a lot of damage. That's only +1. Actually, yeah, now Whimsicott kind of, like, it's not really easy for the Raging Bolt to really get around it, right? Like, it can't damage it at all unless it wants to go for Thunderclap, at which point Encore would be devastating. So, yeah, Farigiraf has done its job. I think Whimsicott actually ends up being a crucial piece here because without Whimsicott, Rajan might have lost to the Raging Bolt in the long run, but with the Whimsicott, it's much, much easier.
I'm just thinking, is there any world the Raging Bolt actually pulls this off? Because you've got Dragon Pulse knocking out everything on the opposing side, but...
I don't think it gets Miraidon in one hit is the thing.
That's
fair.
fair.
You can actually Encore the Dragon Pulse to prevent the Thunderclap.
Correct, yeah.
So as long as Rajan is careful. Also, Moonblast can drop the special attack, so I think that's worth noting as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
getting a little close on time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's stressful. Okay.
That's a little close for comfort. Okay, this is Helping Hand Moonblast, but it is specially boosted Raging Bolt. I'm not so sure about this one, Aaron. Let's see. Moonblast comes out. It's going to do a huge...
Oh, that's actually more than I expected, honestly.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, Whimsicott. I was unfamiliar with your game. That's my bad.
I do think, you know, some Whimsicotts like run a lot of bulk and they have like no special attack investment, but with this team it makes sense to just maybe go max speed, max special attack.
Yeah, that's true. That's true with Focus Sash.
The difference in how you train Whimsicott actually can make a, you know, obviously like the damage that you then see come out can really vary, but now you get Incineroar out, you can just go for Fake Out, kind of. I think maybe the goal here is to stall your own Electric Terrain turn so you can like reset it up, for example, and just get more chip damage onto the Raging Bolt. You just want to be careful and like make sure you don't like get Miraidon out and like no terrain. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I think this makes sense though because what the nice thing about Incineroar here is that you can go for Fake Out Moonblast and the Raging Bolt can't protect.
Exactly.
Because if it protects, it gets Encore.
And you just lose. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to you're kind of forced to take this damage. Fake Out Moonblast is nice here because you have another chance of special attack drop, another chance of the crit. Whimsicott is actually gradually whittling down this Raging Bolt here, and next turn you can actually go for like Tailwind and attack with Incineroar if you want because like there's no really a punish. If you lock in Thunderclap, then you get an Encore. This is just the pressure that Encore is presenting, and there's the electricity disappearing. So really nicely timed from Rajan there. Locking in looks like knockoff here. I really like this play because you ensure that even if something ridiculous were to happen and you were to somehow lose Miraidon, that you could still win the game probably with just Whimsicott because you would have removed the recovery. So here's knockoff here. Jose unfortunately has to keep going for Dragon Pulse because otherwise, yeah, like you get locked into a different move and Incineroar will go down, but I think it's kind of done its job here. gotten like helped get some more damage down, and also taken away the recovery from the Raging Bolt, which is huge.
Yeah, I think Raging Bolt was honestly amazing in this game, but you have to get more value out of all the resources next to it. We were talking about dropping Calyrex Shadow Rider, but I can't help but think Shadow Rider would have been pretty sick over the Urshifu in this game.
Agreed, Urshifu was not good here.
Exactly, and there was so much chip damage across the board early on where Astral Barrage, like that Incineroar was so low, right? Imagine if Calyrex was just out, you just start pressuring Astral Barrage and you can start picking up knockouts, but it's going to be Encore here.
This could be a little risky here. Encore into the Raging Bolt here, and actually because it went for Thunderclap, it keeps the original
oh my God.
+1. If that had been a critical hit, that might have been the end of Miraidon. But yeah, I was actually going to say I don't think I wonder if Rajan's aware of that. He will be aware of it now. Electric Drift. This is specially defensive, especially boosted Raging Bolt. It does not matter. Miraidon takes yet another KO, and Rajan wins game 1.
Yeah, I think what you do there is you Encore because you're afraid of Thunderclap coming out, right? And so it's like
Thunderclap's not even with a critical hit. It's weaker than Dragon. It's not going to KO.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you do Encore the Dragon Pulse, then even if something ridiculous were to happen, your Rhydon goes down.
It's still Whimsicott against
exactly.
and you're locked into Dragon Pulse. There's no leftover, so you get to just spam
It was
Blast.
probably fine regardless because of the Incineroar play.
Yeah.
Whimsicott was kind of the I don't want to say unsung hero because we were praising Whimsicott, but Whimsicott was the surprising hero, right? Miraidon felt like the Pokemon that was applying the pressure, and then Whimsicott was the one that was controlling the rest of the battle.
Exactly. To me, like, I think Rajan got really good value out of all of his Pokemon in this game, right? Like, Farigiraf switching in just allows... I mean,
yeah, like...
Come on!
Yeah, Miraidon is ridiculous. And again, that was not its strongest move.
So the fact that it was able to just pick up 2 knockouts with Volt Switch and be able, like, it's this ability to pivot in and out, right, while also dealing massive amounts of damage. I think, like, critically, Jose switched in Rillaboom maybe a little bit too early in this end game that we're seeing right now. So as a result, like, you don't get the terrain control, you feint, and then you're just in really bad shape. And to me, the main thing is this Urshifu, right? Yeah, going for Helping Hand Moonblast. I would say, okay, well, Whimsicott Farigiraf, you don't really have that much damage, but when the Whimsicott's offensively trained and you have Helping Hand support, suddenly it does so much more. And as, like, if that were a Calyrex Shadow Rider, I think this game actually maybe would have looked pretty differently. Yeah. I get the theory behind Urshifu, and yeah, this is also a testament to a well-constructed team, right? Like, on Rajan's end, you have so many tools that your opponent doesn't even want to bring Calyrex Shadow Rider.
This is the first time all weekend that we've seen somebody leave their restricted Pokemon behind, and I don't think it was a really ridiculous, decision to leave it behind. I think it was, I think it made sense. We were highlighting you have double normal type. Yeah. You've got Assault Vest Incineroar, right? You've got Miraidon who can exert a lot of pressure. Like, there's so many tools against it. So the question is, will Jose adapt and bring Calyrex Shadow this game? And do you think there's a chance that it comes up front and try, like we saw Raging Bolt try to kind of do the work up front, but it was just so susceptible versus the Whimsicott. I think another thing that's worth pointing out is you need to use Rillaboom to slow down this Miraidon. I don't think that you can get away with what happened that game where, you lose Incineroar turn 1 and then you're being at a Pokemon disadvantage in a terrain war is a huge deal because if you trade, you'll always lose, which is kind of what happened at the end of the day.
Yeah, and one thing I was thinking about is if you're Rajan, like let's say you expect Shadow Rider to come out, you can adjust to Ursaluna and have that because then suddenly it's like I have 2 things that are immune to the Astral Barrage, which I think makes all the difference, honestly. Because one of the ways that last game played out was like, okay, like things are actually slowly taking damage, and then so like Astral Barrage could come out and start just picking up knockouts, but an Ursaluna adjustment here I think would make things really, really tricky. I'm also curious if I don't know. I think a Amoonguss is so hard to bring here, but if you're able to get a Spore off the turn, like Rillaboom switches in, I think that'd be huge because Rajan's team is really fast-paced. It's designed to just try to get knockouts quickly, and I mean, if you're somehow able to get a Spore onto some of the big attackers, I think that could really, really pay dividends, but it's a big risk to take as well.
I completely agree. You've really nailed it on the head. It's also like, what Pokemon do you leave behind, right? Because you already, it feels like, want Raging Bolt, Rillaboom for sure.
Hey, you just mentioned those.
Hey, well, we're talking about Raging Bolt and Rillaboom on the field here, and this is nice because Jose basically saying, hey, I'm going to call that you're going to lead me Miraidon, and in doing so, I'm just going to immediately get the terrain advantage. So now, like, Rillaboom can U-turn out here relatively safely and just end up in a position where, like, you always have Raging Bolt to switch in. Rillaboom to switch in when Miraidon comes in, and so I think that's really important. As we do see a Terra Electric lock in here for Rajan. And interesting, not respecting the fake out this turn, actually.
Yeah, and so I like the Rillaboom adjustment so much more because Incineroar was just so vulnerable, but Rillaboom here at least can, tank and attack and win the terrain war. So I think great adjustment by Jose already to start this game, but it's going to be the Electric Terra coming out once again from the Miraidon. First of all, do we see a fake out from the opposing side, right? The idea is that you'd have to be worried about Farigiraf switching in.
Oh my goodness, he calls it!
Is it the Raging Bolt Terra?
It is!
Okay.
Raging Bolt saying, you know what? I want this fairy typing. I want to be immune to potentially Draco Meteor. Choice pick Draco Meteor will pick up a one-hit KO. But the thing is, we haven't seen the fake out play out yet. Yeah, the turn is not locked in just yet.
Oh, no fake out.
Oh, my goodness. This is excellent conditioning from Rajan. Every time where he was susceptible to fake out game 1, there's no terrain! Miraidon, there's no terrain! How are you doing so much damage? That would have picked up a one-hit KO if Electric Terrain was up. I have no doubt.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so, I mean, you got the Fairy Terra, but at a cost, right?
What's critical is there's no Whimsicott in the back this time as well, right?
Yeah,
so imagine if Terra didn't come out there, you turn out to super effective damage, you're able to pivot out as well. But the thing is, because there's no Whimsicott, like this thing could have actually gotten really, really spooky. You resist the Volt Switch, you get a Calm Mind up, and suddenly because Rajan just opted to not bring Whimsicott, there's Amoonguss. We talked about that as well. Okay.
Oh, wow, so a Pokemon adjustment already. Here's the Calm Mind. Oh, man. This is so spooky. And actually, because there's no Whimsicott, that also means there's no Spore immunity. So if Jose is willing to switch out of this boost into the Rillaboom to override the Electric Terrain again, it is possible to actually get the Spore off.
Oh, this is a really fun start to the battle. And there's Ursaluna in the back as well. So many of the adjustments we were talking about coming out from both players immediately. Miraidon now hits the field once again. Do you think Helping Hand plus the Electro Drift gets the knockdown into Amoonguss?
Without it. I have never believed anything more in my life. I don't believe for a second that Amoonguss can take Helping Hand Electro Drift. The other option, by the way, is if you're worried about like Rage Powder here, like you could switch to Ursaluna and discharge. Yeah. Like it would be pretty risky if Rillaboom was coming in, but it's not the.
Say it ain't so.
Oh, man. Yeah, Rage Powder is a great move. It redirects Volt Switch, Draco Meteor, Electro Drift, but it does not redirect Discharge. So the question is Rillaboom switching in here? It could be huge. If it does, this is +1 Raging Bolt. Oh, man, what's happening?
Oh,
Rage Powder! He calls it!
There's the discharge coming out.
Doing enough damage.
My goodness.
It's especially boosted.
It's got to get the knockout.
How much damage? Terra Electric Choice Specs, Hydrogen Engine, Electro Terrain.
Oh my god. That's not gonna miss.
That was so sick. Oh my god, holy cow. Yeah, Miraidon, listen, I had it as my pick on the caster predictions, and let me tell you, there's a reason for that. Citrus Berry is nice here, but you did just lose one of your best Pokemon. Question is it Calyrex Shadow was the best Pokemon? Is it Urshifu or is it Incineroar? It could be any of them. Rillaboom comes back out, so the terrain is once again lost, but I mean, you've made a lot of progress here.
I mean, now, like, Miraidon's in a really awkward spot, right? But there's Ursaluna now is just threatening Blood Moon onto Amoonguss. Yeah, so you could go for just Woodhammer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Woodhammer Spore feels very safe here. Ursaluna is most likely slower than the Rillaboom. Amoonguss gets a Spore. There's no... Now, Jose knows there's no Spore switch-ins. Ursaluna's faster! It's faster! I can't believe it! Amoonguss goes down! That must be max speed Ursaluna or the slowest Rillaboom we've seen in this part of town in a long time. Ursaluna picks up a KO on the Amoonguss thanks to the chip from Discharge. Rillaboom fires off with Woodhammer actually into the Farigiraf, predicting a switch there. So Farigiraf hangs on actually. Oh my goodness, Aaron, this might just be an Ursaluna Miraidon sweep.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think one of the things that's really interesting about a team comp like this is how fast you actually want to train the Ursaluna, because it makes sense with Whimsicott, right? We saw Torres. It's Incineroar. Oh, okay. I think it's just a Miraidon waiting room right now. I mean, it's an Ursaluna waiting room. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the thing is, because Ursaluna is faster and you can't use Fake Out, Helping Hand Earth Power, you might not even need the Helping Hand, I'm not even sure.
Yeah. Or Helping Hand, Hyper Voice, bring out Miraidon, just discharge.
Yep.
GG.
We're on the same page. No Protect available. Ursaluna eats the Helping Hand, says thank you very much, Farigiraf. Let me put on the best talent show this town's ever seen.
That's so much damage.
That's actually less damage than not very effective Volt Switch, just discharge. You gets out, finishes off Farigiraf, but I fear it may be too little too late with the strongest bike we've seen in quite a while waiting in the wings.
I want to give Jose props, though, because I know, like, Rajan played this game so incredibly well. I think Jose did a lot of the right things, right?
Yeah.
I think, like, adjusting to the Amoonguss, leading the Rillaboom as well, going for Calm Mind, but Rajan played out of his mind. I think that, one, just the Volt Switch prediction on turn 1 alone, I think this game would look completely different if just on turn 1 alone, the Terra doesn't come out.
100%.
You predict that he's not going to Draco Meteor, you just go for Calm Mind, you survive the Volt Switch, you barely take any damage, and then suddenly, because you don't have Whimsicott, it gets so much scarier. And then that Discharge play, switching into Ursaluna, getting that knockout, also dealing 70% to Amoonguss, come on!
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. Like, the game isn't technically over, but it would be really difficult. But yeah, I agree. Also, like, this is one of the advantages of using a team that's less popular, and one of the disadvantages of using a team that's more popular, and that, you know what, I will guarantee you that Rajan has probably played many, many more games against these exact same 6 Pokemon, probably with many of the same sets, than vice versa.
Exactly.
Like, this is very likely the first time Jose is seeing this team, so he has to not only figure it out on the fly, he's also dealing with an opponent who has just much more experience in the matchup than he does, and so, I mean, we're seeing it here, right? Like, there's just so, like, it's just so difficult to beat a player in a matchup that's difficult when they have more experience than you, because, you know, Rajan knows, hey, the Raging Bolt player tends to Terra here, I can go for the Volt Switch, right? And if, you know, you're afraid of the Draco Meteor, then yeah, you feel pressure to just, I don't know, like go for the Terra. So I really don't think that Jose played bad at all. Like, I think that it was like kind of just a tough player, tough matchup to run into at this time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you can also see, like, Rajan is thinking one step ahead, right? Like, he had the commission to actually drop Whimsicott for the Ursaluna. I suspect that's because of the Calyrex Shadow Rider adjustment we were talking about going into this game. And so, even though Calyrex Shadow Rider didn't come, I mean, Ursaluna was also just a monster, right? It got the knockout onto Amoonguss. Helping Hand Hyper Voice did so much. And so, Rajan is going to advance to day 2, 7-0 with this Miraidon team. Phenomenal play. Jose will have 2 more chances to make it to day 2 in rounds 8 and 9, but Miraidon looked really good there, Wolf.
I gotta say, I feel very validated on my caster predictions putting Miraidon up there, because that was an extremely strong showing. I mean, we just saw, it's interesting. It's what we were talking about, right? Like, Rillaboom in theory is like the best Pokemon, the single best Pokemon that you can have